Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special fun edition of Drink and Draw. My guest once again, the one and only Richard Perotta. So how you doing this week, buddy?
Perotta.
Perotta.
Oh my God, you said Perotta.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right. No big deal. How you doing, man?
I'm good. See, I have a drink this time. Like unlike last time, I have a drink. It's been good. I've been. This is my third week into streaming / turning the podcast into a talk show. It's been a lot of fun. I've had some great people on, you included, and I've been learning so much doing this.
You learn as you go. That's the only way to do it.
Yep.
Truth to power.
Yeah, it's
Truth
right.
to absolute power.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been doing much. I did some research on what I have to do with my graphic novel as far as printing is concerned. I have about, I think, between 10 and 12 pages left to color, and I'll probably finish that gradually. Like, I'm probably most likely going to finish everything. Well, I want to finish everything before Christmas. I need to take care of all my freelance stuff before I go on my break. And because I'm going to be in London for Christmas. Oops.
Yeah.
Gee, how terrible my life is at this point.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Holy shit. It's like, where are you going for Christmas? Kmart. And where are you going for Christmas? London, England.
That's right.
And then afterwards, I'll be going to Bristol because we're going to meet. Well, believe it or not, I'm going to meet her family for the first time. Like, well, she has 3 younger brothers. The two of them are twins.
Okay.
And one of them lives in Bristol. The other one lives in London. And her closest to age brother also lives in London. And they just moved into a new house. So we're going to go over there nice and early. I got to cook. Oh boy. I'm going to cook everything.
You're going to cook everything. So
well, most of it, whatever it is. I got to make chicken parmesan. I have to make eggplant parmesan because my wife's lovely daughter Tabitha is vegetarian, I think, or vegan, one of those things, but she doesn't eat meat at all. So it's like, okay, got to do this. And I'm going to make a sweet potato gnocchi from scratch and other stuff, just because I'm a complete and absolute ginzo, and that's all we do is cook and draw stuff.
That's not a bad way to be, man. Cooking and drawing.
No, there isn't. It isn't, except for the acne from the tomatoes, that was helping me when I was a kid. So that was fun.
Yeah.
How about you? What's going on with you for your holidays?
I don't know. So I have a bunch of my family here. I'm going to be seeing my grandmother is actually, she's dating somebody in her 80s. It's actually awesome. Yeah, I know, isn't it?
Wow. Hello there.
Yeah. Well, I met him. I met him. I know him. I met him about a year ago, and he's a really sweet dude. I'm gonna be seeing them. I'm gonna be seeing them this coming weekend. Because she's just gone. She did surgery on carpal tunnel. He's got a surgery the next week, assuming everything stays open here. Right. Right. So this is the weekend in between. So this is the weekend where I'm gonna see them. What kills me is I have another grandmother in Detroit, right. I can't see her, and it literally kills me because it's an imaginary. The borders, when you sit there and think about it, are imaginary lines. Yeah. Hi, Highland Fighter. Welcome back, buddy. Right.
Who's there?
Highland Fighter's back. He's like he was here last time. He really enjoyed your stuff, so he's saying hi.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Who else is here? How many people we got so far?
One officially here. I don't know what the count is. I know it's I'm a small stream, right? So
it's probably me.
Yeah, no.
Shauna would have done better. She's a lot prettier than I am.
Yeah, no, she is.
I'll tell you that she's a lot prettier than I'll ever be in my life, no matter how much I put on my face.
Yeah. I get people. I get a lot of people watch it usually after too. So I mean, it's all good. It's growing, and I know I knew going into this.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm not here just for the popularity contest. This is fun.
Yeah, exactly. But so that I can't see. My dad's not a very Christmassy guy, so it's going to be interesting because I don't know what we're going to do Christmas Day because I don't know what we can do. Well, it'll depend on what's open and what's available. Maybe we'll just hang out. Maybe I'll cook him something. That'd be kind of nice. I might do that. But that's pretty much the plan. My sister's in Toronto. I saw her. She's working right now for the post office, so I'm not expecting to see her until sometime next year. But yeah, that's it. That's my family pretty much in a nutshell. So that I don't know what I'm going to do with my dad, but I know I'm seeing my grandmother this weekend. She kicked my butt in darts. She's actually an amazing darts player.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not know this. Last time I came here, went to her house. Let's play darts. I see her hitting double bullseyes all the freaking time. I'm like, I'm out of my league. I'm just out of my league.
I used to play darts. That's a lot of fun. I was decent, but yeah, I've come across a couple of ringers, and you're like, how the hell do you do that?
Yeah,
it's like thunk, thunk,
yeah.
thunk,
I did not know. I did not know my grandmother was a ringer. She rung me. She just took me to the cleaners, man. She just took me to the cleaners.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Oh man.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? But no, actually,
I miss it. I haven't played darts here, and I live in England. What? Why? What?
Well, in all fairness, you've had a lot to deal with, and hopefully next year, when things come back on some level, you'll be competition again, and you'll be the ringer this time. Richard the ringer, right?
I'll be fine. I'm not worried about it at all. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm having too much fun with this. I got to tell you. Oh man! All right. So what was I going to say? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to go to the. So I'm doing from Sophie Campbell's run of Ninja Turtles right now. I actually am enjoying the current comic.
They're still publishing. There's still issues for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Really?
Yeah. It's still going.
I didn't know that. Holy crap! What are they at? Issue 1,500 or something?
So Kevin Easton relaunched it. Him and Tom Waltz launched it back in 8 years ago. And I was like, I looked at the comic shop. This is me. I see Kevin Easton's name on Ninja Turtles again after years and years of not seeing it. I'm like, I'm in. I don't care. I'm in. How long it lasts. It turns out it's the longest lasting comic I still collect. I've gone through Saga. I'm a Green Lantern guy. And honestly, everything that has gone through is 112 issues in. And that's not including all the one-shots and specials. I'm getting the last Ronin for Christmas. I actually have it in my mailbox coming to me. It's like, I'm excited about that because that's going to be that's their equivalent to their Dark Knight Returns kind of deal. So it's pretty sweet. But yeah, I love that they did here. They took everything that you loved about the Turtles from everything and put it into this comic.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for all this stuff. I can't wait to finish everything that I'm doing. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, cool.
So I will pick up the next issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the next time I get around a comic book shop.
Yeah.
Because I thought they would just, kaput. Then again, I really don't go to comic book shops that much anymore. Funny, since I draw comic books. Isn't that weird?
No, it isn't. It isn't. I can see it because honestly, you're around it all the time. It's like me going to a bookstore. I love books, but I don't go to bookstores very often anymore because I'm creating my own stuff all the time.
That is true. It's the same thing with me. I'm just like, whatever. I draw them. I don't want to be around them all the time. What do I have to buy them for if I could just draw them myself?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, that's I'm a big fan. Like what I have become a big fan of as a result is everybody that's doing their own stuff because I understand the work that goes into it a lot more now, and you can't help but respect anybody that's like doing their thing, So
yeah, it's a passion project. Everybody has their own passion project.
Yeah,
and I hope all of us succeed in one way or another.
Oh yeah, life's I look at it this way. Oh, so now I'll show you. So my art book is called New Beginnings. My sister made that for me at the very front there.
Aw, how cute.
Yeah. So, but I look at it like this. We all have to be passionate about something because it's the best stuff that keeps us alive. That's the stuff that makes life worth living. I mean, dude, I still got your from the last time. I don't know. I'm going to print it out, but I loved your Necromantic My Little Pony. That was Mad Max with that was such a blast. That was such a blast.
I have to ink that. I'm gonna ink that at a go live session on my own. I gotta send that to you. I will send that to you before Christmas. At least I
Yeah,
hope I do.
yeah. No, that was so sweet. I was like, and I'll never forget my contribution. Castle Grayskull, or like that part was just like that was so over the top. I love
Oh
that.
God.
And see, this is why I've been enjoying these, even though like I said,
Good.
I get these cool pros like you coming in and going, "Hey, I'll draw with you. This is fun, and let's have some fun." And I get to see so much cool stuff. I've learned so much too. So this will be good.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. All right, I'm gonna turn my camera around,
Yep.
point it towards the drawing that I'm gonna have here, and let's get started. Let me just get my camera.
Sure, you do that. I'll do.
All right, facing front and facing back.
That's right.
Ta-da. Okay, can you see me there?
I can see you.
All righty.
So we'll draw. We'll
I'm
draw
just
a
gonna
little
keep it
bit.
like this until when it. How
Well,
do I go back to the original screen?
I can change it back. I'm the one in
Okay.
folder.
All right,
So,
I'm in the show. All right,
yeah,
here I am. I'm still in the show. Good. I didn't want to like cancel myself.
you're totally no man.
There I am. Okay, yay. Here we are. All right, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do this, British. Yeah. I'm putting on some techno samurai music
That's perfect.
in the background, so it's like all nice and like calm and all that shit. And it's like, instead of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
I love that
Teenage
name.
Mutant Ninja Turtle, you're
I love,
gonna have sound, power.
I love that name. I
Oh
love
God,
Oh,
so
come
much
on.
of that. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
just okay. Here we go. All right, as anybody can see, if anybody here is looking, if you look really close, I have a lot of blue line just thrown all over the place, and that gives me a template as to where I can start. And at that point, I just decide to, just go in and take care of business and throw my stuff in here. Now, one of the things that's really important: do not worry about making mistakes. You're going to make them anyway. Just whatever you do, just make sure that you fix them if there are any. That's all. Don't worry about accuracy just yet. You can do that when you finish everything up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the truth, because so many people they from far as I know, a lot of people stress out over how correct the art has to look, how perfect it is. I'm like, it's no such thing as perfect art. It'll come to you when it comes to you, so I wouldn't worry about it so much.
Yeah, exactly. The blue I'm aware of because I knew I know an art guy by the name of Riley Rossmo, and I knew him even before he broke into comics. And he would always draw. He would draw, and I see these big. Like he'd come into the comic shop when he started doing comics. Occasionally, he'd bring some of his boards to work on. It's like why I asked him why the blue. It's like because it looks that much better when you get to the makes it easier when you actually get to finishing and stuff like that. It's good for the comic. So, it's something I've always kind of remembered about comics. It's like that blue stuff, those blue lines are very important, and not entirely sure why, but it helps the process a lot, doesn't it?
Well, what it does is it gives me an idea of where everything is supposed to go.
Yeah,
that's really it. It gives me a much better idea of where everything is supposed to go, and I mean, because a lot of times you just can't draw in a vacuum. I mean, there are some people who can, but for me, it's just that I'm just want to make sure that I get the pose correct. So all I really do is just put it here, and that's it. Wait, this has to go that way because it's facing the other way. Okay. But yeah, that's really all I do, as far as that's concerned. So, and here it's going to be a very stylized drawing. So, because it is just, whatever it is, we just have to be sure that everything gets correct here. Ah, my goodness.
Like for me, I'm really just getting started with this. But the most amazing thing to me about any of the any of the drawings I'm seeing and doing and all that stuff is um, breaking it down to simplified shapes. I mean, it does make it a lot easier for a beginner like me to understand what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, if I see things as circles and squares and triangles, it makes it easier to visualize. Instead of trying to look at the whole thing, I look at it in pieces. So
Yeah, that's how you really should do it.
yeah,
That's how it really should be done, because again, trying to visualize everything in a whole, and then trying to just draw it from that certain point, that's not easy. That's very, very difficult to do. It is, especially if you want to get it more than accurate, because sometimes it just doesn't come out that way.
yeah,
And you got to make sure that if you get your basics down and you make sure you just have the basic shapes where everything is. If you can just, if you remember where your proportions are and where everything else is, you won't have any type of issue drawing anything. You just have to make sure that you just get your proportions correct, your reference correct, if there is any. And if you do that, then you're going to be fine. You'll be just fine. And just make sure you put everything in the right spot. Here you go.
yeah. It's like I said like I said, it's just from a simplicity point of view. It's like it helps, right? It doesn't mean I
Oh,
get
it
it all.
definitely does.
Yeah,
It definitely does.
yeah. And my last drink and draw, I learned a little bit about how the eraser works. The eraser is actually a very important tool, and I never realized how important until actually I made some mistakes last time.
No, it definitely is. I have to admit, I don't use it all that much. I mean, I just use it
Yeah,
just to make sure I get rid of the lines after I ink.
yeah. But you can use it. You can use it as a drawing tool too. And it never occurred to me until I did some things last time because I tried drawing Mr. Grinch. Um, I gave my dog six legs by accident, but I just went with it instead of like going, "Oh my god, it's not perfect." Like, I'll just make it work. Whatever. So I have a six-legged reindeer dog from Mr. Grinch. Yeah, it's like,
That's
why
a good
not?
idea.
Yeah, why
That's a
not? Right?
very good idea, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm doing this because I actually like at some point I'm going to actually try. I'm going to at least try penciling my own comics at some point. Like I said, I don't know if I'll ever be great, but I'll definitely, hopefully, I'll be competent, and I'll learn. And then hopefully that's the idea: get competent enough where I can tell a good story with my drawings, because it as long as people get what you're doing, um, that's really all that matters.
That's very true. That's very, very true. It doesn't. You see, if you look at Hellboy,
Yeah,
it's a very, very stylized comic, a very stylized comic, but it has the basic shapes, and it has all the basic tenets that it needs in order to be recognized as the type of figures that you can see, characterized in a certain way where that that these shapes that are the way the characters look can naturally occur in the real world, and it's just an exaggerated form of whatever human body or proportion it could be. It doesn't matter as far as how accurate they are, as long as there's something aesthetically pleasing to it, and it's not over exaggerated, or it's not or if it's not pretentious in any way, or if it's accurate. That's really all that matters.
yeah,
I mean, as long as you have a look that people can understand and accept, then you're not going to have any type of issue at all. You don't have to have the most perfect anatomy in the universe, or the perfect art style, or something that you need to like spend 20 years studying with Leonardo da Vinci in order to achieve.
yeah.
I mean, it's as long as it works, and if it works, dude, then I mean, more power to you.
Hmm.
Because I know of a bunch of artists who their technique isn't great, but they think of themselves as the best thing since sliced bread, and those are the people I can't stand.
No. Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I love your splinter. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love your splinter. No, again, it's a little humility goes a long way too. You know, it really does. Like, I look at it like this. I'm certainly at this point, at this stage in my development, I'm not going to get it all. I'm not going to get it all right, and neither do I have to.
No, you don't have to.
Right? But but the thing is, I'm never, even if I get to the point where I get decent or competent or whatever the case may be, right? I'm also going to remember, like, ultimately, this is supposed to be fun. Like, we are literally expressing a message every time we put something to the page. And so I would rather my message be, hey, listen, this can be fun. This can be a way to express yourself. And because ultimately, what you do when you do your own stuff is you encourage others to do the same thing. And I think that's a really, really cool message, especially right now. I put something out one of my last Facebook posts before I went and took a nap, because I did a lot of sleep stuff last night. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and just kept working on my stuff. Was the whole idea of shining a light in the darkness. Like, we're in a very unsure time, and people are scared. But one of the best ways to do it, I honestly believe, is to do art.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The more you learn independently, I mean, this COVID has been, the best and the worst thing that's happened to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The best because, a lot of us, I like to think the majority of us have pulled together and shown our true humanity by being generous with our time and considerate of others, and making sure that, we come out of this alive and we're still intact.
Mm-hmm.
But, the worst of us, it's like every man for himself. We don't care. If you don't like it, you can die from it. We don't care. As long as we get the economy moving, something stupid like that. But, yeah, I can't stand that. But the other part is that we discover things about ourselves.
Oh yeah.
With this type of isolation type thing, and it's as long as we take the time and we learn everything for ourselves that gives us the ability to benefit from it, and and others can benefit from it. Then then we've taken what we've learned, and we improve without even realizing that we actually have improved.
Yeah. Well, in the face of uncertainty, in the face of just trying times, what I've often found is you come back to the one person thing you can't run from, and that's yourself. And
that is very true.
Right? And at that point, you're like, well, who am I going to be in this time? Like, I made a decision very early on, and this might be to my downfall someday, but I'm good with that. And that is, I'm going to treat everybody, no matter where people stand or how people believe. I'm going to try to treat everybody like a human being, because honestly, in this time especially, because I know everybody on some level is suffering. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to worry about anything other than, doing the best I can, and whatever anybody else decides to do for themselves, I wish them the best, and that's it. I'm not gonna judge, because when this is over, and this is gonna be over, then we can talk about who did right and who did wrong. I would much rather right now just worry about getting through this time, and try to be as decent a human being as I possibly can.
Well, yeah. And as long as everybody, as long as everybody in the States gets this damn vaccine that's going to be going out now, thank goodness for that. I'm pleased.
Well, I'm curious what happens. I'm not gonna lie. There's a small part of me that's a little worried about it on some levels. They've done. I remember once upon a time, they've rushed stuff out before and it has not gone well. So I'm a little concerned about that. But then
I
again,
am too. From what I
yeah,
understand, forgive me. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You first, Josh. I apologize.
yeah, no, it's cool. I just I think the reason, like for me, I think the one weird thing the one revelation I got very early on about this whole time is that I think the reason why North America struggled so hard with this compared to everything else is I just realized that okay, the United States is definitely the worst example, but even in Canada, our leaders have no integrity. And the thing,
Mhm.
and when I realized that, I understood why everybody was fighting this. This isn't like Japan. Everybody just went and did and just the government paid them to stay home. Government
Yeah,
basically took care of everything. They said just stay the fuck home.
yeah,
They,
that's fantastic.
yeah, exactly. And I would although New Zealand did a very good job, I argue in terms of mobility and ultimately even the humanity of it, I would argue Japan probably did better than just about anybody else.
Just
And they,
about, yeah.
yeah, um, so when I look at that, I realize that maybe just maybe um, that why did that work there versus why didn't work here, and it occurred to me that's because our leadership, just as a general rule of thumb, has not been very good. And I mean, I'm not going to get into the politics of what kind of nightmare Trump was, but it's not just him; it's everybody,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I realize that. So it's like when I look at there's that part of me that goes, okay, with everything coming up, bro, with everything coming up there, I cannot help but be just a touch cynical of my politics and go, am I being led down this road? Like, you know what I mean? And maybe that's an incredibly cynical point of view, but I think the lack of integrity I've seen the whole time is maybe it's just a natural caution, if that makes sense.
It is. No, you're absolutely correct. It's I don't trust any of them, but
Yeah,
I do trust the science. I
yeah,
trust the science. I don't trust the people in charge. They whatever they do, and whenever a lot of people say, they do it because they have some sort of agenda.
hmm,
You know, especially in the United States. I used to
yeah,
live in the United States. I no longer live there,
yeah,
and it's becoming ever so present that I'm happy that I don't,
yeah.
because there's just so much that's been exposed about so many things, about so many people and how they act and interact.
Oh
And
yeah,
some of it really makes me sick.
oh
It
yeah,
really does. And it's like where I used to live in Staten Island, Staten Island, New York. Um, all these idiots are screaming over like a bar not being open, you know. And it's like I used to be a Staten Island native, and having to listen to all these idiots. You know, I mean, the guy who owns the bar in Staten Island that had that issue with closing. I mean, he was. It's like he was doing his own personal Braveheart speech, and I'm listening to it. And I'm like, dude, where were you when all these tax cuts were coming down that benefit the wealthy and not you? Where was all this happening when children from South American countries were and still are being put in cages?
oh yeah.
Where is the outrage? Where's the screaming? And like, does it not bother you at all? And it evidently didn't, because all these Staten Islanders and a lot of people in the United States were really, really upset about not being able to get their hair done, or not being able to go to a bar, or not being able to walk around freely and mingle and do all this other stuff like, most other countries have decided to do, so that everybody can live.
Hmm.
You
Oh, there's
know, and it's frustrating to me, because a lot of stuff that's happened could have been prevented, and it is
yeah,
not.
no,
It isn't. I mean, Trump, he even said, it was leaked that it was like, hey, this is a really bad thing, but he decides to downplay it.
yeah,
And I'm like, why would you do something like that? I mean, it's just, I mean, and he has so many Americans convinced
yeah.
that I mean, forgive me for getting on my
No,
soapbox,
no,
but
no, no.
he has
Go
so
right
many
ahead.
Americans.
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So so the United States. I'm not going to talk about Canada. I'm just going to talk about strictly the states. Period. My dad grew up. Was a Maltese guy that grew up in a black neighborhood in Detroit in the '60s.
Yeah,
he was there when tanks were driving. Like his neighborhood, tanks drove into his neighborhood in '68 during the civil rights movement. He was there for that. Everything that happened this year in the United States, has the terrifying thing about Trump, this is the honest thing, everything, including how he has handled the pandemic, has happened in the United States in the last 50 years. What I actually think about, I think the United States is doomed, personally, because I don't, although Biden is an improvement over Trump, he's not that much of an improvement over him if you look at everything Biden's done in the past. And I think the problem in the States is this: your leadership has been so bad for so long, right? That I don't know if they're going to ever change, and I don't see it. So I think honestly, what's going to happen in the States is, I think what happened with COVID, when COVID hit, it started the you know how a civilization can collapse. I think it started in the States, personally. I mean, that might sound very, very negative, but I remember when Rodney King was beaten, and I remember like having a lot of the same talks that I had with some of my friends, even in Canada, about Black Lives Matter. Then, now, and it just occurred to me that maybe nothing's really changed, and maybe that's the real problem. But I don't know how to solve it at this point. You know, is that?
Well, there really is no way to solve it. You see, you see what happens. You see, one thing about Americans, a lot of Americans, is that it's not even their fault, really.
No,
they're engineered to have a very, very short attention span.
Yes.
Because there's so many things that are out there now, and there's so many, like, hey, squirrel moments. Look at this. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Don't look at that. I mean, a lot of media has been controlled. I mean, there's at one point there were hundreds of media companies. Now there's 6.
Yes.
There are 6 media corporations and conglomerates that control the airwaves of the United States. Now we're talking, let's say, just on average, 20 old men and women. On the board of directors for each one of these 6 corporations. That's 120 people determining what the hell you're going to watch on TV and how you that's really it. And it's beyond disgusting. And people just continuously lap it up because, I mean, if you keep people simple, and if you keep them from engaging themselves in any type of creative thinking or thinking outside the box, they're not going to notice what their average congressman who claims to do one thing is going to do to them. But you're more worried about, like, one of the Kardashians' lip implants. It's sick. It's really sick. I mean, there are people in their 20s and 30s talking about shit like this.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. No, that's why, like I said, I'm not so confident, like with Biden being president. I'm not confident anything's going to change. Not because I don't think it's impossible, but because he has a track record. I know what he's going to do because he's been there before. And right, and that's the thing. Like, at this point, I think what every other country should do is they should look at what the United States has done and avoid it at all costs.
Not do it.
No, I mean, look, I don't know how to fix it, but I do know that I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it in Canada. I mean, but the reality of the situation, even here, we're next door. Some of what
excuse me.
Some of what's down there is up here too, and I recognize that, and it's one of those things, like, I want consistency in my leadership, and I realize that is maybe a pipe dream at this point in history, but that's what I want. I don't want anymore to have the situation where um, I have to constantly question whether my leadership is coming or going, right? Because it would make it so much easier. Like, no one's fighting this stuff in Singapore, Japan, China, any of these other places because leadership, at least when it comes to this, is consistent. There isn't a up and down. We've had such even here. I mean, I can't help but wonder about the second wave that's coming here. If it wasn't for the fact that we let 200 kids go to school, right? 10 people can't get together, but 200 kids. We got. I mean, it's. I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of how I see it. It's like we have a lack of consistency in North America, and we're not as bad as the States, but that's not the bar I want to. That's not the bar I want to worry about anymore. Because
you really don't.
Yeah,
it's not fun. I mean, and you see it with people that at one point you were friends with or you loved, and it's like I had an issue. I don't know if I told you this. I might have said it. I had an issue with a friend of mine who lives in Staten Island, who's no longer my friend, and it was when I was first diagnosed with cancer, and I was talking to this person about how amazing the NHS was when it came to diagnosing what happened with me. Because before I left and before I wound up in England or anything else, I went to an American doctor. Now, this isn't going to be consistent with all American doctors. I'm sure that's not true. But this particular one, I told him about this, and he was just, oh yeah, well, we'll take a blood test. And look, did you play any sports recently? I'm like, yeah, I was doing a little bit of MMA, and he's just like, oh, that could have been it. Did you pull it? And I go, it felt like one. And he's like, it's most likely that the blood test we'll see what we can do with the blood test, and it's just, nothing came back from a silly ass blood test, right? So anyway, as soon as I get here, I get this thing checked out, and the doctor is almost, she's scared out of her mind, and she goes, we really need to give you a sonogram. So I got the sonogram, and then not even a minute after the sonogram, not even a minute into the sonogram,
they found it.
It's like, okay, we're going to do a biopsy. And then the biopsy came back as cancer. Now, I already told you the whole story about with me.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to that, I was telling my friend that the NHS has pretty much saved my life. They're fantastic. And then she all of a sudden started getting into this jingoistic, nationalistic shit about, it's like, well, she's like, oh, please. And I'm like, what do you mean, oh, please? And she goes, American doctors are so much better than over there. And I'm like, pardon me? I'm like, wait a minute, what? I was taken aback a little bit because I'm just like, I don't get into political arguments with people because I don't get into political arguments with this one because we almost did, and she was like, it doesn't matter, I know I'm right. And I'm like, all right, I just won't talk to you about it. But she decided to pull that shit, and it's like, here I am. I'm like, hey, guess what? I have cancer, and she's like, yeah, but the United States is a lot better than England. How come you're not here to have it treated? And I'm like, wow, okay. So I go into this whole thing about how the NHS is this, that, and the other. And she goes, well, my friend went there last year to England, and she had terrible treatment. And I'm like, so you're going to base the entire NHS, like the whole entirety of the NHS that's been around for quite some time. I don't even know how long it's been around. You're basing it off the opinion of one American person. Why? Because she didn't see her doctor immediately? Yeah. What was the point of it? And she's just like, well, it was just terrible. She told me it was just terrible. And I'm like, so you're going to base it on that? And she's like, well, this is what you get when you get free. This is what happens when you get free healthcare. And I'm like, first off, it's not fucking free. Everybody in the United Kingdom pays into it. Mm-hmm. Everybody. All right. And they don't have to worry about having all their taxes ripped out of their assholes for it. I mean, whether you realize it or not, she's like, well, the economy's doing great. And I'm like, no, the stock market's doing great because rich people are benefiting from the stock market. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And then then we went back and forth a little bit. I'm like, look, I'm sorry this doesn't fit your conservative agenda. And she flipped. She was not pleased, because it was like she's trying to tell me, as someone who's here is being treated by the NHS, who were fantastic, by the way, saved my life. Really, truly saved my life, and trying to tell my wife, who's been here all her life, that American health system is so much better than the United Kingdom. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know what you're getting all up in there. And I just told her, I'm like, I'm really sick of it. I'm sorry it doesn't fit your conservative agenda. And she's like, I'm not even conservative, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, this is when you lose your argument.
Yeah, well,
she didn't like the fact that she lost.
Yeah. So the U.S. medical, to some degree, it's the Canadian medical too, but especially the U.S. medical. This is what I have found. I have found that by and large, the doctors are really good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the American system, it's not the doctors that have the final say; it's the insurance companies, and that's a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah, it's the insurance companies. I honestly because it would eliminate, it would kill the pharmaceutical. I call it the pharmaceutical industrial complex.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's honestly I look at I look at what other countries do in terms of their medical. I look at Japan's probably one of the best. Again, I use Japan as an example a lot here because I try and have an intelligent conversation about how medicine works in different countries and that they all work differently. A lot of people don't get that one either. But the thing is, what needs to happen to make the reason why your diagnosis was ignored in the States, a big part of it was because it costs so much money to do those tests there than say in England where everybody pays into it, but it's not like you're going to get a $99,000 bill either when it's all said and done. So it forces a lot of shortcuts may not otherwise have been there. You know what I mean? So maybe, and I look at that. I look at that in the States. It's like that's why I'll get diagnosed in the United States maybe still, but I don't want to do surgery there because that's going to be
whatever you do, don't do surgery there, please.
Yeah. Just I look at it and go, no, not a chance in hell. I'll go anywhere else. Canada's so far and away, but when I look at say England, I look at Europe, I look at Asia, more so than even North America. They've already been through the ringer by these insurance companies. Yeah. So they don't worry about them quite so much. Whereas in the States and even in Canada to some degree, it plays a big part. Doctors' expertises are ignored here a lot more. Even with treatments today, with a lot of things, if a doctor or a nurse or an EMT had their way, they may not use what's ultimately prescribed to you. Yeah. But they have to use it because that's what the insurance company says has to be used. And that's a big problem.
It is a big problem. It is because it's the United States is one of the last countries that has a for-profit medical system.
Yes.
It's one of the last ones, and it's one of the larger. It's one of the more populated countries and one of the richest countries on the planet. But it's only rich because it's only rich per capita as a result of continuously having the amount of billionaires that live there. Mm-hmm. You see, and it won't change for one big reason, because if it changes and then all of a sudden everything is going to be in their mind, quote unquote, free, what happens is you're going to get a lot of people who are going to be resentful because they had to pay into it for a very, very long time. And it's like, well, what about the money that I spent on this? Why couldn't it be free for me back then? And what's going to happen is it's always spun in a way where it's like it blames a certain sect of people.
Yeah.
And you'll just have a whole bunch of these morons who are going to go in and they're going to get all gung-ho and gun-ham on it and possibly like not want something like that to happen. That's the reason why a lot of this stuff doesn't work, because you have a whole bunch of old people or people around my age or older or even younger who would be resentful of the fact that they don't have to pay anymore, but they had to pay before. And that's why they don't want any of that, because it's always mixed with propaganda about, hey, pull yourself up from the bootstraps. You have to work for getting all the stuff that you have here. You have to earn it. And it's not a question of it being earned or anything. Being taken care of medically and healed is a right for every single human being on this planet.
Yeah.
Whoever the hell you are, it doesn't matter. That this isn't something that you should fight for. Because all these congressmen who talk about, how it should be fought for or how you have to earn it. It's a luxury. It's not something that it's a luxury. It's not something that should be freely given to you. No. They don't have to worry about shit like that because they have the top-notch insurance that they're going to get. For fuck's sake, Donald Trump is in the worst health you could possibly think of for a president of the United States. You know what? He has some sort of condition where he has to lean forward when he stands. He has to lean forward when he stands because he is so obese and so disgusting and so distorted in his shape that he has to lean forward with his gut, because if he stood back and had actual posture, forget it. The man would be really literally a sphere. He's that fucking fat. All he ever does is ingest all sorts of like McDonald's and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, it's really just nasty. But and he's in his 70s. He's old. He's in terrible health. And guess what the hell he gets? He gets the best possible treatment you could possibly think of for COVID.
Yes. Because he's the president of the United States.
Which could have been used, on maybe a 20 or a 30-year-old. But no, he has to make sure that he lives because he's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
These people do not care. The ones who are elected into the United States, Democrat or Republican, mind you, they do not care. They do not care, because if Democrats were truly, truly all about everything that they say they would, this would have changed 50 years ago. Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Absolutely.
They're either really feckless and weak, or they're in on it, or they're complicit.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm sorry. You're either that weak and cowardly, which you should not have office like this, or you're complicit in it. Because you're allowing it to happen. You're allowing these idiots to talk all this crap and all this other stuff, and then poof. A whole bunch of people at this point now are dead because of their lack of action, their lack of understanding, and the lack of empathy. I'm sorry. You have almost 300,000 Americans dead.
Yep.
They will have 400 by the end of the year, if not right after.
Probably right after, but yes.
Probably right after. All right. And if I didn't get, and I have to thank my lucky stars beyond comprehension, because if I did not get that visa by the time I got here,
you wouldn't be here.
I would have been dead.
Yeah.
I would have been dead, because if it wasn't the cancer that was misdiagnosed, which I wouldn't get until much later, if I decided to get another diagnosis of this, or if all of a sudden the lump in my throat went away, I would think, hey, I'm healed. No, I wouldn't be healed. I'd have cancer in my body all that time. No. And then COVID would completely destroy me, because it started ravaging New York as at 1,000 per day. 1,000 per day. And now it's climbing again.
Yep.
And that takes me back to the idiots on Staten Island, because now there's restrictions again to make sure people don't die. But these idiots are thinking it's a Braveheart movie, and they decide to fight against it. Like the idiot owner of that bar, which I'm not going to say, because I don't want to give these idiots free advertising. He escaped from where he was supposed to be, because he was going to be arrested for keeping a bar open during a pandemic when there was temporary restraints on opening time. So this son of a bitch, he gets into a car and he runs over a sheriff, breaking both of his legs. Wow. He gets stopped, but these people are so stupid. It's a rallying cry. It's like he had to escape because he was surrounded by all those police officers. And it's like, no, he broke curfew when it came for things that he wanted, that our governor, or the New York governor, wanted to make sure people were going to live. You were still able to go to the bar. You just couldn't be a drunken bastard by the time, you couldn't drink until 3 o'clock in the morning. You could drink only until 10 in the evening. Yeah. Big fat hairy deal. You don't like it? Go home. I get pissed at this, dude, because it's such simple shit.
Yep.
It's the simplest thing you can do in the middle of a freaking pandemic. If you have to wear a mask, wear a goddamn mask. If you have to stay 6 feet away from people, all you have to do is move over for 1 second and let someone pass, and then go back on your own path. You're not out every single day. You don't live in the woods. You don't live in the middle of Manhattan. Come on, man. It doesn't take anything. But no, people wanted to make sure their freedoms weren't infringed upon. I'm like, you're out of your mind. There are people who are dead now because of that. And some people are so brainwashed or refuse to accept it that they don't think it's COVID that's killing them. They think it's some sort of lung cancer that no one has ever talked about before. I'm like, no, it's COVID. You're dying from COVID. And you're going to die alone.
I haven't heard that one. I've heard a few other ones.
Oh, what are they? What have you heard?
Well, again, part of something I talked about earlier. I think a lot of this is just, again, a lack of leadership and transparency. I think it creates a lot of this diatribe.
People, there's no leadership. This is
no. In the States, you guys are the only place worse than you guys. Or not, sorry, you're in England now. The only place worse than the United States is Brazil. I mean, that's it. That's it. And Brazil is not a first world country. So
that's right.
Right. So that puts it. Look, even Tanzania, who decided that maybe the COVID test was a little screwy, they're doing better than the United States is right now. But no, like I like I have friends on all sides of the spectrum here. Some people who are very hardcore anti-mask and are fighting it every step of the way. I have people on every spectrum. I just know people. A lot of that, some of that is just mistrust, just based on everything that's happened before. We talked about some of the integrity issues that exist. I think that's a big, especially in North America, that's a big part of it. I think more than conspiracy theories would not exist, or wouldn't exist to the degree they do, if our leadership was better, because there would be a lot more. It would be a lot more transparent. It would be a lot more honest. The problem is when even your leader's going, well, if you're not following this, you're anti-science. You're deliberately pushing an us versus them mentality, and I see that and I go, this is the part of me that feels like I'm being played. That's actually the part of me that actually feels like I'm being played, because when I feel like everybody's fighting over, when I see people fighting over masks and fighting over all this stuff, again, I'm suspicious when it comes to my politics, right? Is what else is going on under my nose? That doesn't necessarily mean I excuse people not what's the term? That doesn't mean I excuse people not like just doing what, like running over a sheriff with the car. I mean, what the fuck, right? But I just cannot help but feel when I see stuff like this to some degree that it's created. Like this has been created for just on the simple fact that there's no trust, and unfortunately, I don't know how to fix that. As far as the science goes, people don't follow science; they follow examples, and and that's just human nature. I see that you tell me something's bad and you're doing something else. I'm not necessarily going to listen to, even if you're right about it being bad. I'm not necessarily going to do something else. I'm going to do what you do. So, and again, I look at this. The states is the worst example, because you could literally go from state to state. I mean, Florida. Oh my God, right? Florida's holy shit. I have no idea what to tell anyone in Florida. Right? But
that's funny.
But it's true though, right? Hey, listen.
Yeah, it's yep. That's all they're doing. It's like they're just rushing headlong into oblivion, and it's like that the governor there is willing to let people die because he is too busy making sure that he stays in power. That's why he's kissing up Trump's ass. The same thing happened a little while ago with the Texas governor. The Texas governor literally he started suing Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia to have all their ballots turned over. Now, he did it not because it would actually happen, because it won't, but he did it simply to placate Trump. to make sure that if Trump is still in the Republican Party in some way or some sort of influencer, he will make sure that he says something to that about that guy in a positive light, so that he stays in power. This is what the United States has become. You have a lot of people who all they want is to stay in power. That's it. What they perceive as power. That's it. That's really it. And it's a sickening thing, because they keep that no matter what happens, just to make sure it's consistent, or because they don't know any better. They will vote within the same party all the damn time. Why do you think Mitch McConnell wins all the time?
Exactly.
I mean, the people in Kentucky are not stupid, but they keep voting for the same person because it's familiar. That's it. Mitch McConnell's the biggest piece of shit on the planet. He's worse than Trump because he's Trump with intelligence. That's bad.
Oh, yeah.
That's even worse.
Oh, I know.
So it's like, Trump has everyone convinced that he's crazy. He's not crazy.
No, actually, so Trump, he is the Howard Stern version of Ronald Reagan is what he is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly who he is. The only difference between him, okay, I have somebody I'm having a discussion with the politics going on from Canada, and I keep trying to explain to this person that what he's doing, what he's done, is he's very calculated with what he does. Howard Stern figured this out in the 80s. The people that hate you are the people that promote you the most. He's not wrong, right? He's not wrong. I have seen more anti-Trumpers post Trump propaganda than even the pro-Trumpers did, by a million miles. And he knows how to polarize people. And I mean, is he the worst president ever? I think it's hard to argue against that. But at the same time, he's no different than a lot of the other presidents that have come before him. The only difference is we're poorer today, number one. And number two, he's got more power based on everybody that came before him. I don't know if Reagan, if he had the power Trump had, or Bush, if he had the power Trump had, would be any different.
Well, they had all the same power. It's just Trump knew how to abuse it.
Yeah. Well, power accrues in a vacuum, right? There's been more presidential mandates, but that there's been less checks and balance on the presidency as time has gone on. It's natural. Again, people in power want to expand what they can do. It's not an evil conspiracy. It's just human nature. Clinton wanted to be able to do more. He got himself more rights. Same with Obama. Same with George Bush. Same with all those. That's what happens. It's human nature. You're in a position of power. You want more power to get whatever your agenda is done. You get more power. So when Trump finally came in, he had more power than all of them, and he abused
more power than all of them because he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing that same shit over and over and over again, and it's like, everyone, so many people say he's an idiot. I'm like, no, he's not an idiot. This is not a stupid man. No. He may have a little bit of learning disability, whatever the fuck it might be. But I'll tell you something here and now. This guy learned only one thing, and that's the grift. And he learned it from two of the worst human beings on the planet, Fred Trump and Roy Cohn. And people think of Roy Cohn as some sort of clown because he was just a bombastic lawyer. No, he set the precedent and taught Trump everything he fucking knows. And Trump is using that same thing. And you're right. I mean, all I see on YouTube, to be honest with you, is all these progressive channels talking about how Trump has done this and Trump has done that, how much of a fool he is. And I'm listening to them. And I even try to comment when I'm saying, look, he's smarter than all of you. I hate him. I hope he dies a horrible death. But he's smarter than all of you because he knows that you will talk about him.
Well, no, he understood. He understands the rules of media today. That's the one thing you can't not take away. He won his election because he was on TV more than Hillary was.
Oh yeah, he had at least $2.5 billion worth of free advertising. Yeah, and guess where the most of it was from? CNN.
Yeah, exactly.
CNN, and now they fucking rail against them.
Yeah, and they feed him more. The only reason he lost this time was because of a pandemic. Because honestly, Biden wouldn't have been his opponent. If it had been a normal it had been a normal election year, they would have chosen someone else but it was the fact that this is again, I'm not crazy about Biden. I think that his history is terrible, but the one thing I will say about him in a positive light, he does have a compassionate side because of everything he's been through, right? He was the right guy. He was the right guy to go against Trump in this time, but only because of what he's been through, his own human empathy. That's what beat Trump. But the thing about that was, but the unfortunate here's the reality. And this is why 74. This is why it was such a close election. Biden's own history worked against him, right? Yeah. He's been there for 40 years.
He has.
He's made some pretty big mistakes, and that. But he won because ultimately, right? He understands kind of what's going on right now. That's why he was chosen. That was the other reason why he became the nominee, is because he had the experience. Nobody else did. He wouldn't have been my choice any other circumstance, right?
That's right. That's very true.
Yeah, right. If this had been a normal election, I would have been Bernie Sanders, or Diane Warren would have been a better choice than him.
Oh yeah, if people had any type of integrity, Bernie Sanders would have been president in 2012.
Yeah,
he would have been president in 2016. That would have been it.
He would have beaten
Trump. That was really the case.
He would have beaten Trump in 2016. He would have beaten Trump in 2016 because he had the personality. He would have
destroyed Trump in 2016. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Hillary, but again, this is the Democrats' fault too. They put with someone familiar, Hillary, right?
And Hillary is. I remember when Clinton was president.
Yeah.
A lot of times, there were so many people who were talking about how Hillary was pulling the strings as president. Yeah. They called her the president a lot of times.
Yeah.
And that Bill was just there, just to shake hands and kiss babies and screw interns or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be. I mean, that's just him.
Yeah. But that again, that's looking back. I mean, I don't know how true that all is, but what I'm saying is, no, Trump is not a stupid man. Like, far from it.
No, he never was a stupid man. No, he's
far from it. He's a narcissist. Yes. Stupid. No.
Exactly.
That's why I made it a very conscious decision. I've avoided politics essentially for the last 4 years, talking about it on my board, because I can't win. I feed the monster if I talk about him.
Yeah.
Right. And that I recognize, like, sometimes the best answer is silence. And that's the way you deal with a guy like that. Unfortunately, most people don't realize they're being played. Yeah.
That's not my problem, because I know it's no longer my problem, because I can't worry about it now.
But again, not a lot of people see it my way on that one. Like I said, I'm trying to explain. He's no different than anyone that's come before him in that offense. The only thing is, he just took it farther because, frankly, he could, right? And that's what terrifies me about the states in 10 years. Because 10 years from now, who the fuck knows what's going to come in and take his place?
Well, it could be AOC, or it could be Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
It could very well be. It could be AOC. It could be Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris will, at one point, if she plays her cards right, will be president of the United States, and a lot sooner than we expect.
Yeah.
A lot sooner. And she will get in mostly, not just for whatever policy she has, which will not be all that progressive, but but the writing's on the wall. The United States will eventually become much more progressive than it is now. Has to. Because it's going to be a breaking point at some point.
Well, I think it has to collapse first before that happens.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It has to be like, it has to collapse at the point where it's like, this is how it has to be done from here on in, or we're all going to die. And it's like the United States needs to collapse first, or die first, in order for it to be reborn. Or you need to have what has to happen, and it's a terrible thing for me to say, and I probably don't understand the concept of it, is that you have to have mass death. You have to have mass death in order to understand the concept of what the hell's going on. You have to have that. I mean, the continuous downplaying of the death toll of COVID, what Trump is doing is he's giving people permission to not feel bad about anything, because he's throwing out that whole patriotism thing where it's just, no matter how many people die, you have to keep fighting because that's what our soldiers would want us to do. Blah, 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 blah. And they'll think in their little minds that it's like, yeah, man, I don't care if I die. We have to get the economy rolling. I'm like, no, your life is more valuable than some stupid economy. But that's how a lot of people don't see it. A lot of people actually have to die. And a lot of people actually have to see, like truly see what the hell's going on with everything. But a lot of them will not see it. And it will be at a point where it's almost too late.
That's a tougher one for me. You don't.
It is.
The problem with the United States is there's no middle class anymore. There's no place.
That's true. Fall. That's very true.
There's no place to fall. So what do I tell somebody? Here's where I am sympathetic to a small business. I was in Vancouver, okay, right when COVID was hitting, and I was looking at, like, some of the stores were starting to shut down, and I was very fortunate on my way to work. I found a Jugo Juice that was still open, just one. It was a father serving his two daughters running the store, and they were scared out of their minds, and I understood why they were so scared, and I also understood too because the cost of living was so high in Vancouver. What were they to do? Because there was no rent freeze, and Vancouver's rents are unrelenting. Cost of living is what it is, and I mean, again, this isn't just United States, but this is a Canada problem. Cost of living is still what it is. So can I fault him for trying to stay open and feed his family? I can't, because what choice does he have, right? And I look at the thing that really terrifies me about the shutdowns. Although I'm not looking at it from the point of view of, I'm not saying they're not necessary, but we're not protecting a lot of these small businesses either. And what worries me about us keep doing it is, I don't really like a world according to Jeff Bezos. I don't, but there is a possibility, that's a thing. So when I look at people, I'm not unsympathetic to people with the economic side of it for that reason. There is no middle class. There is no way to fall back. I mean, I know people in Canada that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars as small businesses. Government loans aren't covering that. But if you're looking at, say, airlines are being well protected right now. So are a few other like essential, quote unquote, essential services. There's not enough. The big guys are going to be fine no matter what happens here. The little guys are the ones that are going to get crushed. And I don't know. And when the little guys, and the thing is, when the little guys get crushed and all that's left are the big guys, no good comes from that. So sure. That's that. So like from an economic side, I get that part very much because I've seen it. Like I love small business, middle class people, and they're the ones that are going to pay for this more than anybody else.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. It's happening here as well. It's happening in the States.
Yeah,
everywhere. What's going to happen is that all these small businesses and all these places that people are getting kicked out of their houses because they can't pay their rent or mortgage, though all those stores and all those houses and all those apartment complexes are going to be bought for pennies on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that happens, you're going to have the United States of Jeff Bezos, or you're going to have the largest state in the whole entire union, the Fox News state.
Yeah,
whatever it is, it's going to be Murdochville or Otisburg or whatever it's supposed to be.
Well, so that's why when I look at it, that's why I don't completely poo-poo the economy thing for that reason, because I people need to eat, and
that is true.
And I look at that, and I look, like I said, this is why I'm very much the stance I have with leadership with the government on this is it's not if again, Japan protected its people. Singapore protected its people. I can't say for sure New Zealand did, but it wouldn't shock me if New Zealand did either. At the very least, New Zealand's leadership was very consistent, right? So I don't. So there, I can understand. Like that stance is completely understandable there. In North America and in places like Brazil and places where leadership has been terrible.
Yeah.
Right. I do see some of where that's coming from, and I cannot fully dismiss it. So that's not again. I want this to be perfectly clear. It's not that I'm saying that health shouldn't be a priority. Unfortunately, what's been done here is it's health or your business, right? It's health or this, and there's nothing for anybody to fall back on, and that's brutal, and that's just unbelievably brutal, and it doesn't have to be over here. We're rich enough as a country that it should not be an issue.
No, it shouldn't, but it is.
Yeah, it is. It is, right? And that's the part where I'm like, okay, you know what? I cannot fault. That's why I don't completely poo-poo it. That's kind of where I'm at on that. Is I don't completely poo-poo that just based on that. I don't think it's in a perfect world. You pay everybody to stay home. You just pay everybody to stay the fuck home. You freeze rents. If you can't freeze them, you just pay everybody to stay home. You get the rents paid. You have the government just take it. This is the time the government takes one for the team. We pay taxes all our lives for the government for whatever strange reason. This is the time where you go, you know what? It's your turn, guys. It's your turn to help us out because we can't help ourselves, right? You do that, and that's what should be done. And most countries that have been through something like this already, that's what they're doing. And as a result, there's no problems. I got no problem wearing a mask outside because you know what? They're doing everything in their power that I know to protect me. Great. I don't feel that way here. I feel now if I was in the States, I'd feel it even less.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It does. It makes complete sense. Not there is no fault whatsoever in anything that you're saying. Not at all. I agree with it, and it's a shame because no matter what happens, you are still going to have the same people vote for the same politicians. You know, as long as I mean, in the States, as long as babies are not aborted, or you don't have gay people getting married, or you don't allow Mexicans into the country, or you believe that Mexicans shouldn't be in the country. If someone says they're going to, even nothing has to be done. As long as someone says they're going to do it, it gives them peace of mind. And then they vote for the same idiot who just keeps screwing them over. But to them, they don't care because they feel safe and they're not going to really care if they have to work a second job. But that's what's killing them. And they don't get it.
Yep.
Hey, it's their issue, man. Hey, are you done yet?
I've done a few since. I surprisingly hard. I've been watching yours because yours has just been like amazing, right? I've been working on it. Surprisingly, like for me, we can go back to the regular screen and I can show you some of the stuff I've done.
All right, let me get there.
No, get ready, man. I'm going to keep working on mine.
All right. Yeah, here I am.
Yeah. So surprisingly, this kicked my butt. But I got better as time went on. So the first one, can you see? First one, can you see it or no?
Not really.
Okay, let's take a. Let's see if I can.
Well, you gotta lower the ambient light. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, give me a second here.
All right, take your time.
Yeah, give me a second here. I'll see if I can do it like this. All right. So let's see if did this help? If not, I go the other way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice job, man.
So I actually got better. I tried different ones.
All right.
I did. This is what I call. Hold on here. Is there?
I see a little bit of it. Yeah.
Fin turtle.
Okay.
Better turtle.
Yeah, it is. Nice job,
my favorite one though is this one. Can it work?
I can barely see it. All right, I see it. Yeah, there it is. All right, good job, man.
Yeah, I'm getting better. I'm getting, like I said, it's I am genuinely very, very, very honored that people like you are actually willing to come and draw with me. All things considered, it's really cool.
I don't be silly. I'm having too much fun. I just finished this Splinter thing while we were talking. So
yeah, it was great. I got to watch some of what you did. Like, dude, you're incredible. Like, you were absolutely incredible. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, I saw. Oh, so before we wrap up, I saw you were showing a piece this morning about a comic you were working on. This on Facebook. Did you? I could have swore I saw it.
Yeah. That's the graphic novel that I hope that I'm gonna that I will finish in production by the end of the year.
Nice. You want to talk a little about it now?
The whole thing is me. The whole thing was mine.
Nice.
It's like the writing, the writing, penciling, inking, coloring, and even the lettering is mine. It's all mine. The whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm keeping all the monies.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to figure out how many copies I need to sell in order to like get to a point where I feel comfortable with it. But the first chapter and the second chapter I don't expect to do well. But if I play my cards right and I write everything the right way and it looks good, who knows? It's just timing, really. We'll see what happens. Well, story for me, story is the most important thing. Then art, then anything else after that.
Well, everything, the best stuff is all about story. As I've gotten older / wiser, I realize how you tell your story is the most important thing. It's not how good it is; it's how you tell your story, and that's definitely been a thing. Man, dude, you're cool.
Thank you. What I have now is I have pages colored from the cover, then page 1 all the way up to page 40, with only page 32 missing. I will put those together later, and they're all colored, by the way, and I'll put them in a PDF, and I'll send it to you. I'm going to send it to a few people and see what they think.
Well, I told you I got a review column. So what I'll do for you is when you have an idea when your release date is, give it to me closer to your release date or when you're about to launch your Kickstarter. I'll review it and I'll get it started. I mean, I'm on firstcomicsnews.com as a regular reviewer. So
wow,
I review stuff.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I review stuff. So just when time it in such a way that it's like about 3 weeks before you start, for sure. Like you'll know when your date is when in your head it's like when you're ready to launch your Kickstarter. And when you know that, then you send it to me, and then we can and then you just start building it. The other thing you got to do, my friend, this is the only thing I tell you. When you have that date in your head, when you actually are ready to Kickstart, the moment you have it and you can get it done by then, start advertising immediately. Because I look at guys like Russell Nohelty, who does regular Kickstarting campaigns. He starts advertising months in advance. If you're like within like 2 or 3 months of your stuff going, right, and you can get it done, and it's going to be done by then, you should start advertising it now more, because honestly, just from a strictly business point, you're just getting the word out there that you're doing this. And honestly, you're such a fun guy. You're such a really, really fun guy. I think the enthusiasm will be contagious given enough time. That's on.
You think that I could start a Kickstarter campaign like at least 2 months before I release this thing?
Well, start advertising it. Yeah. Start advertising.
It's like posting it on social media that I'm going to have a Kickstarter for this.
Why not? Like, think about it. Okay, so the business end of things, just strictly the business end of what we do is advertising, right? Yeah. That's strictly right. So think of it like this. Let's say springtime. My gut tells me with you it's going to be March. So let's say it's March 1st, 2021. You're going to go out there and you're going to kick butt. Then January 1st, Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. I have this great book I'm really proud of that's going to kick all kinds of ass. And let's do the campaign starting March 1st. And you do that off and on for a couple months. Then you launch the campaign and whatever goodies you come up with. Actually, I have a fun one for you too as a Kickstarter suggestion. I'll do that off the air. But the thing about it is you're such a genuinely enthusiastic guy about your drawings and your life.
Thank you.
And that's honestly one of my favorite things about you. So what you should do then is be that enthusiastic guy about your work for 2 months. Don't worry about the sales. gush about it. Everything you love about it, everything that made you want to do it. Talk about it, because honestly, people will relate to that, and you build yourself up to that way. You do live streams all the time as well, right? You can talk. And again, I realize it almost feels unnatural to talk about your work like that. But the thing about it, but the thing about it is, you worked your ass off on it, man. Right?
Yeah,
And
I did. I know.
yeah. So this is all I'm saying to you. Like, give yourself the maximum chance to succeed. Right? Give yourself a couple months, and, and even if you're not talking about your work directly, right? Talk about the stuff you loved about that made you want to do it too. People will get you. I'm serious, man. I look at one of my favorite authors is Craig DeLuey. He's a friend of mine. He talks about shows he likes. He talks about concepts that he loves, right? Because it's who he is. Just be you, man. And just yeah. But you're one of the most, and I say this, you're one of the most enthusiastic guys I know. And part of that is because I know what you've been through. But the other part of it is you're a passionate dude that gives a shit. So give a shit about your own stuff, and it will do well. I promise.
All right, I will do that. I will do that. It's tough for me to do that, but I will do that. No, it's not very tough for me at all. I'm a natural born narcissist, so yeah, I should.
But that's this is just speaking as from a friend to a friend. Like, you worked your ass off so hard. Give yourself the best chance to succeed. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. All right. So we're plugging that. So how can people find you? And we'll wrap up the show here.
All right, you can find me on social media on Facebook. Just look for my name, and you'll just see my face in black and white. On Instagram, my page is RPE Illustrations 8780. I post there every so often, and I have a page that if you decide to send me a friend request, called The Incantessi. That's the book. That's the graphic novel that I'm working on. That I believe I'm going to put out on March 1st. I'll make a formal announcement soon enough. I will put out on March 1st, and it's a 4-part, 48-page for each part graphic novel about a girl who discovers that she contains and possesses vast powers of the ability to manipulate the mystic arts. Now, with this knowledge, she doesn't know if she's going to embrace it or if she's going to be consumed by it. That's what we're going to find out along the 4-chapter run of The Incantessi. And I hope I see a lot of you there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. All right.
Thank you. That was quick, right out of my head. I hope
hey, dude, I love. I've always been like. It sounds like Doctor Strange meets like Power, honestly, like something like Power Rangers Ninja Turtles. It sounds right up my alley. I can't wait to actually.
Well, right? It's a little bit Power. It's a little Power Rangers. It's a little bit Doctor Strange. It is, but this is something that, Doctor Strange, when he went searching for how to make himself whole again, he did it specifically for selfish purposes, to heal himself. Then he became the master of the mystic arts because he had this responsibility weighed upon him, and he was mature enough, and he was also a surgeon, so he still had a little bit of that when he all of a sudden learned how to be the master of the mystic arts. This is a young girl, all of 18 or 19 years old, whose parents were killed, and discovers throughout the whole chapters on why they were killed, and who told her what, and who didn't tell her things, and who's doing what, and how does everything tie together. And that's gonna give her the determination at such a young age on whether she's gonna take the abilities that she has and use them for the forces of good, despite everything that happened to her, or she may turn a different way, not be completely evil, more like a gray Jedi with a really bad attitude.
Which is
It's one or the other. You don't know, because it's like, I don't want it to be your standard, coming of age thing where it's like Captain America, blah blah blah. We're all great here. Everything's happy. No, that's not how everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a little bit of, how a person can take things.
Well, it's also just the reality. Like, no one's perfect, right?
Yeah, no one's perfect at all.
And no one's perfect, and that's always the most boring thing. It's how you overcome your flaws, or how you make peace with them, makes you who you are. And she sounds like a really cool character, man. She sounds really cool.
if everything goes past the fourth chapter and it's a success, and I go into like the next run of chapters, like from 5 to 8, we'll see. We will see how she deals with that, and eventually, I would think she comes around because she gets older and she sees more things. But right now, it's not so much that she's fractured. She has to heal herself on the inside.
Absolutely.
You know, she has to heal herself on the inside because, I mean, she has this angst, she has all this stuff going on, and now she just realizes that she really can pretty much do anything. You know, and she's in a coven or a league of other people who have this supernatural abilities who could do certain things. She could do everything. Now that's a lot for anybody to handle.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's a lot. You know, it's like Phoenix, but it's without the suicide.
But yeah. Yes, yeah, no. What you do with all that talent and expectation.
I really like doing this. So whenever you want, man, just give me a buzz.
No, dude. No. I will definitely do this again. Like I said, the last one was the favorite thing I did this year. This one was a lot of fun because at the very least, I learned some Ninja Turtles and you drew a badass Splinter. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. You want to subscribe to this? There's my Twitch channel. There's my YouTube. Hit the subscribe buttons there. I have my books myself for sale. Beyond all that, guys, stay inspired. Stay bright in the darkness.
Yay. See you later, man.